My name is Jane Meyer, and I am with SCORE Central Jersey chapter. I want to welcome everybody to the webinar this morning. I think you're going to really enjoy our presenter. So, need help with New Jersey business processes? You came to the right place. Our speaker today is Don Newman. He's manager of small business advocacy for the New Jersey Business Action Center, fondly known as BAC. And that's under the Department of State. And Don is going to walk through a whole bunch of information. BAC has wonderful, wonderful resources for small businesses or businesses in general. And he's going to talk about that. So I'm going to stop sharing. And Don, thank you again for presenting for us, and welcome.
Thank you very much. So yes, I work for the Business Action Center, which is the part of the Secretary of State's office. So during my presentation today, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on the Business Action Center, and then talk about some of the specific things that we can do for a small business. It's certainly not all of it. And I'm also going to break out a little bit and show you a new feature on the state's business website. So we've been around for a long time. The Business Action Center, when I joined 17 years ago, was actually the New Jersey Commerce and Economic Growth Commission. Actually, that got changed to the Commerce, Economic Growth and Tourism Commission as we expanded. That was eventually dissolved. We were part of the Economic Development Authority, and then several years ago, we're spun off into the Business Action Center and became part of the Secretary of State's office. So the unit as a whole has many years of experience in helping businesses navigate state government, maintaining relationships with various other resources that you may find useful as a business owner. And the one thing I want to talk about on this slide is the phone number, 1-800-JERSEY-7. I'm going to show you some other ways to contact us. So that's only the first time you'll hear me say you can contact us by calling 1-800-JERSEY-7, and I'll show you some other ways in a second. So we're broken up into different units. One unit is the Office of Business Advocacy. You'll notice in the introduction, I manage the Office of Small Business Advocacy, so there is a difference. Basically, our business advocates work on projects. So a business wants to locate in New Jersey, want to relocate New Jersey, has an issue with the Department of Environmental Protection, Department of Transportation, and it's sort of a long-term project, or even a medium term, just a few weeks, but multiple phone calls, multiple back and forth, multiple meetings. Our business advocates take the lead on that. So if you're building it, or you need to find the site for a new location, our business advocates can assist you with that, assist you with the regulatory process, and so on, when it comes to accomplishing that goal, whatever that project is. We have an Office of Export Promotion. This is a team of export experts who can help you become an exporter. Only 2% of the world's population live in the United States. That means 98% of potential customers of yours are not in the United States. So small businesses can become an exporter. And I'm going to have a lot more to say about them in a minute, but they can help you identify markets for your product, who imports my hot sauce, and the answer to that might be South Africa, which happens to be a big importer of hot sauce. I have no idea why. Asian markets, big importer of fruit wine. So if you make a blueberry wine, that most Americans would not really consider a quality product, they're a big product in the Asian market who appreciate those kinds of wines. So those are the kinds of things that our export promotion team, and then we have a STEP grant, which I'm going to talk to you about in a little while. We also have a unit called Office of Planning Advocacy. They don't usually have businesses as a constituency. They work with the local planners and the State Planning Commission to make sure that things like our infrastructure, our environmental concerns are all addressed in the municipal planning practices and decisions that also affect economic development. And that's why they're part of the Business Action Center, to find that balance between protecting the environment, making sure that infrastructure and other concerns are addressed, and while at the same time not hampering economic development for the area. But I work with the Small Business Advocacy Unit. I'm the manager of that unit. So what do? Well, we help you find mentoring assistance. They have we work with SCORE. We work with the Small Business Development Centers. We work with other units can help you find mentoring, financial resources, licensing and professional certifications, government procurement, another great way for a small business to enter into a new market, and navigating the basic regulatory process of government. And again, I'll have more to say on most of these issues. So we help you navigate government. Big one is going to be Treasury Department. For a small business, making sure that you're properly formed a business. Are you setting up a sole proprietorship or a general partnership or LLC or corporation? Do you want to be a C Corp or an S Corp? Is your LLC going to be a 1065 filer or an 1120 filer? Or are you filing as a sole proprietorship? Those are all questions that business owners have to answer, and then have to properly register and form those businesses. And when I say register, what I mean registering for taxes, as well as employment withholding taxes. We can help you through that process. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick in a little while. Not a trick, but a new tool. But also consumer affairs, even a better example. A lot of your licensing issues are going to be involved with the Department of Community Affairs. We license things like plumbers and electricians. We also license, home improvement contractors and home health aides and massage therapists, and a whole list of many different licenses. And some businesses that don't require a license, like a clothing store. So we help you navigate that process and find the licenses that are appropriate to you, as well as working with county and municipal officials, or working with the Environmental Protection Agency, or more importantly, the Division of Environmental Protection from the state as well. We help you start a business. We do have a starting a business checklist, which is a nice 2-page document that kind of lays out some basics for you, so that you can help you navigate sort of the first steps. And that addresses everything from doing a little bit of market research before you start, or looking at the demographics in the area that you're going to be starting this business. And we also have a licensing and certification guide that helps you find licenses that are required for certain professions or occupations. But what do I want to show you today is the new business website, business.nj.gov. So I'm going to actually stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to share a different screen. As soon as I can find that screen. I thought I had it up, but maybe not. Let's see. Okay. So bear with me just a moment. So anyway, so the business.nj.gov site is a new state business site. And can you all see that site now? Jane, can you just give me a little, yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Yeah, I wasn't sure because the sharing screen looks a little strange different. So this is a site that gives you a lot of good information about starting a business, planning a business, operating a business, and you can access the licensing guide here. But the tool I really want to show you today is called the Navigator. There's a couple of different ways you can access it. You can go here, but I'm just going to go right here. The Navigator is a site that allows you to answer a series of questions So you would go through the navigator and ask this question. Now, I've already answered these questions. So I'm going to start a business called Shore Nurse Registry. That technically becomes an employment agency, nurse registry service. I'm going to be limited liability. I'm picked a town at random and so on. And I continued through these questions, and the result of my answers is this: a roadmap that lists the different steps necessary for you to start your business. And some of these steps, like checking the name availability, getting your EIN from the IRS, and registering for state tax and employer purposes, are marked as required. And as I complete each of these steps, by clicking on this, gives me some contextual information. Here, I can actually check the availability of the name search without even leaving this platform. Staying right in this navigator, I can check the name. And when I'm completed each of these steps, I can either mark them as in progress because I'm still doing them, or I can mark them as complete. And then when I go back to my profile, those steps are marked complete. And the business registration steps of forming and registering a business can again be done without leaving this platform. I can register my business for state taxes right here. So this is a great improvement over giving you a bunch of websites that you have to go through and then try to navigate through to form and register your business. This is being improved all the time. So we also want to add things like applying for your licensing. We want to add things like accessing any other kind of regulatory process that may apply to your business, including applying for a cannabis license, which is one of the agencies that we've added to this list. We have about 33 different business types here, and each of them have information that is unique to that industry. And we're adding things all the time. Cannabis is the most recent one. So are you applying for a conditional license or annual license? And what are the differences? And learning more and being able to make your applications again right through this site. This is a great tool that I recommend that everyone should start using as you as you're trying to learn about registering your business and starting your business. All right. So let me just move on and go back to my presentation.
Don, this is Jane. I would think that tool would be good even for businesses that are already established to kind of go back and look through things. There may be questions or ideas that come up that could help you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I actually usually make that point that one way people are using the tool is they're recently started a business, and we're not sure if they've actually done everything that they were supposed to do. So they go back, run that tool, and then look at each of those steps again to make sure that they are fully in compliance. So that's a great point. And again, not everything on there is required. They're just sometimes good business practices. So that's a great tool. But anyway, so one of the other features on that site, which I should have showed you why I had it up, and I'm not going to go back, and that is the live chat feature. When you click on the icon for the chat to ask a business question, that is a live person between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. that will be on that platform, sometimes even at night, to answer your question. And they are representatives from my office at the Business Action Center. So it's my staff that you'll be talking to, and they can answer your business questions. And if you ever were looking for me and you weren't able to find me, you can always go on that live chat and say, is Donald around? And they'll make sure that I get that live chat. However, here's a nice feature to the live chat that is really unique. Yeah, one of the things that are difficult in government is that we're in silos. That the Business Action Center is here, the Treasury Department is there, the Department, Economic Development Authority is another unit, and there's not a lot of interconnection. Now, I already showed you that on that navigator, you're able to do some steps that are from a different department within that navigator environment. It's also true of the live chat. If you come into that chat and you have a question about your taxes, taxes are confidential. I don't have access. I can't really look into them to answer them for you, but I can take a conversation within the chat and transfer it to somebody in the Treasury Department that can answer those questions right within that chat platform. I can send someone, excuse me, through the live chat. I can send a question to employer accounts over in the Department of Labor, and I can send someone to the Economic Development Authority to answer your questions. And we're expanding that every day. We're working with other agencies to try to expand that so that they can answer questions on other topics. I don't want to give away some of the people that we're working with, but that is constantly being improved and expanded to make it more user friendly and more easy to break down those silos between agencies. Pardon me, so that you only have one place to go to get your questions answered, regardless of whose responsibility it is. Right? So that's a great feature on that chat. There are some other more traditional things like business starter kits, which can, you can print out and gives you some assistance in certain industries. But again, the navigator is a more robust tool when it comes to that. But it's a great website that's handled by the State Innovation Team with the cooperation of the Business Action Center. So if you are forming a business, we can help you find that registration page. If you're not going to use the navigator, find where you're going to get your EIN. We can also help you with the technical assistance side. You're already working with SCORE. The Small Business Development Centers are we're a financing partner for them. So we give them money to provide this, similar services for no cost. But I also want to point out the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, which is the UCEDC and PTAC. If you're interested in government contracting, they provide specialized technical assistance on those two topics. They're funded by the Federal Defense Logistics Bureau, meaning the Federal Army, the military, and they can help you navigate government procurement, whether it be at the federal level, state, local, even your local school district. Excuse me. So that can help, they can help, plan how you're going to do that. These agents, these other technical assistance centers can help you with e-commerce and social media and so on. So there are some great resources out there. And what we do is we help you connect with them and we help you find them and identify them. As you grow your business, we can help you, again, government procurement and exporting, local requirements, and the key is also critical access to, to capital. That is probably the most common question I get from businesses, is how do I get money? How do I raise money? So we can maintain relationships with organizations like the excuse me, community development financial institutions, CDFIs, sometimes referred to as micro lenders. We can loan out $50,000 to up to $50,000 under a micro loan program, or $350,000 under a 7A community advantage or more. Or we keep connections with the SBA and the banks. I met with one of the banking industry. I don't want to mention them right now because I don't like to promote any one. I'd like to promote them all. But with some bank executives just recently to talk about how we can work together. But a I do want to mention one new program, which should be released by the end of the month. And that is a microloan program that is being offered by the Economic Development Authority. For those of you who don't know, the Economic Development Authority is a quasi-governmental agency with the state. I don't like to say that they're the state version of the SBA because they're very, very different. But for simplicity's sake, that's what they are. They're the financing arm for the state. They have a new microloan program that they're going to be coming out with by the end of the month or very early in June. And what's nice about that program is that it's a 10-year term loan up to $50,000. If you make time, excuse me, if you make timely payments for the first 5 years, the next 5 years could be forgiven. So you could actually only pay back half the loan before the loan is forgiven. So that's a great opportunity for a small business. You have to be in business for at least 6 months. So it's not for a real startups. It's for businesses that do have at least 6 months of business under their belt. But keep an eye out for that program, and it's going to be very helpful. We can help you get certifications, small business enterprise, minority, women-owned business enterprise, veteran-owned, pardon me, service disabled veteran-owned businesses. The governor just signed an executive order ordering the Treasury Department to create a new certification for LGBTQ plus owned businesses as well. That's a little ways down the road because the regulations still have to be written. But those certifications, why are they helpful? Well, we have a set aside for government procurement in the state for SBE, small business enterprises, of 25%. We are currently in the middle of a disparity study. I won't go into what that all means, but essentially a women and minority owned business does not have a set aside because the state is under an injunction by the courts. The disparity study is a way for us to get out from under that injunction so we can start doing set asides again. However, some other counties and other government agencies do have set asides for women and minority, and we have a 3% set aside for service disabled veteran owned businesses. So great way for a small business to get involved in government procurement. Largest purchaser in goods and services in the world is the United States government. And small businesses can get especially subcontracting work under these programs to help expand their business. So if you have the right product mix, these can help you. It can also help you with supplier diversity programs in the private sector. A lot of corporations have programs to try to assist businesses in these classifications to get contracts. And also the cannabis business has a special carve out for women and minority owned businesses so that diversely owned businesses get an opportunity to get those contracts, those licenses. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And this is the website where you would get those registrations and the time, how those registrations fall in terms of how long the certificates are valid. And although SBE is very, very quick, all the other certifications do take some time to process, up to 8 weeks or more. So if you have a contract that's due and you need that certification for that contract, you may want to make your application early, and you can ask for expedited service under certain circumstances to do that. So to try to get it by the deadline, and they're usually pretty good about responding to someone's needs under those circumstances. I used to actually run that office back in my commerce days. So I'm probably outside of the people that work in that office, I'm probably the person that knows more about those certifications and that processes than anyone else. So you can always reach out to me for help. And the last thing, the last big subject I want to talk about is exports. So I mentioned before, we have an export promotion team, and then we have a program called STEP. And that's been a tremendously successful program, helping small businesses become an exporter. The joke I always say is when I was talking to somebody at the shore one time, and I said, a group of people, if you have a candy store on the boardwalk and you get an order of 10 pounds of saltwater taffy off of your website, you are now an exporter. So small businesses can be exporters. Got a bit of a laugh. Had no idea why, because that's not a funny line. And it turns out that the person who organized the event that I was presenting at had a candy store on the boardwalk and got an order of 10 pounds of saltwater taffy to go to Canada. And exactly the scenario I described, but she canceled the order. Actually, I don't recall if it was a he or she, but they canceled the order, and because they were too afraid to get involved in sending food across the border, and we would have helped them that, and it's relatively easy to do. So we could help them that. But we have a STEP grant. So in the past, our STEP grant was used to help businesses go to trade shows. So if you were a food manufacturer, you want to go to a fancy food show in New York, we would send you there and we would pay for the registration of your table. Or if you wanted to go to Europe or you wanted to go to Latin America, we would pay for that registration for that event. And that was great. And it was very successful. And we get a big bang for our buck in terms of ROI on that program, for money that we give to a business and the amount of sales that business ends up getting. We learned though, we learned. And during the pandemic, what we learned is, one, there's a lot of small businesses that still could not go to those shows because although we pay for the registration, we don't pay for accommodations and we don't pay for travel. So they were still too expensive for them. But what we learned is that one way during the pandemic, when all these trade shows were canceled, we were helping businesses improve their website and improve their e-commerce platforms so that they were more internationally focused. Could be something as simple as translating their website. And what happened was those businesses also got a decent rate of return, not as big as the other one. But what was really special is that because our program can go up to $25,000, most of them were, pardon me, I'm actually just getting over a respiratory infection, so you have to forgive me for losing my breath a little bit. Most of those people that have that had these platforms upgraded got a rate of return, not as big as the other ones, but because we give out $25,000, up to $25,000, the entire cost of the improvement they made, we were able to do. So small businesses that could not take advantage of our program to go to a trade show because it was still too expensive, were able to access this. So we learned that during the pandemic, and that's our new focus. We still will send you to a trade show, but we want to encourage small businesses to come to us to help us do translations and help your e-commerce platform. We don't do that work for you, but we pay to get that work done for you. And we have a special focus on first-time exporters that are food and beverage manufacturers. So if you're in that industry, this is a great opportunity for you to become an exporter. And don't forget that services can be exported. So if you're in the service industry, just because you're designing something in New Jersey doesn't mean your customer has to be in New Jersey. They can still be outside the country, and your service, your design services could be exportable. So there are some exportable services that we will help pay for. So don't widen your thought processes when it comes to exports, because there's some great opportunities there to access that huge market that is not in the United States. So that's my entire presentation. So so on this page, I'm going to leave it up for a second. You've got our website, the Business Action Center website. You've got the state business website and our live chat, business.nj.gov. So like I told you in the early on, 1-800-Jersey-7 is the way you can call us. You can also contact us through the live chat off of this website. And you're welcome to email me as well at donald.newman@sos.nj.gov. I do have my email address in my profile picture, but I know that it's sometimes difficult to see that dot between Donald and Newman. So I like to point it out on this screen as well. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to look at the Q&A here and see if there's questions here that I can help you with.
I've got one in the Q&A that wants, is asking about that, the microloan program, the new microloan program that you're talking about, and
Right.
who's that with? That was with NJEDA?
That's right. NJEDA. You can reach out to us. We can help you navigate. But if you want to go there direct, go to njeda.com. They have a tab on their main navigation area for financing and incentives. And the program is called Main Street Micro Business Loan Program. Not launched yet. The target date, I believe, is going to be the last week of this month. It may, it may get pushed off a week or so you can go to it may go into June. But another thing I should have shown it to you when I had the business.nj.gov site up there is there's a place there for updates, and you can sign up for the newsletter. We work with that team from the innovation team every week, along with the EDA and other agencies, to put information out in that newsletter, and the newsletter will contain information about that loan program. Another crazy program I should have mentioned as well that we participate in is we were helping businesses learn about their ban the bag obligations. So if you are a retail business and you have questions about being in compliance with ban the bag, we can help you with that as well.
I just, as an aside, I have a client who applied for the STEP program for international, and she's done very well with that. She's exhibited at trade shows and has expanded her business.
Yeah, that's terrific. And I got to tell you, the ROI on that is about 100 to 1. So for every dollar we give to businesses, they get $100. It's actually a little bit higher than that. So get $100 in sales. So, if you go to a show and you spend $8,000, you do the math, that $100 for each of those dollars, it goes into sales. So it's a great job creation program because those businesses have to create jobs to satisfy those contracts, as well as generating revenue for New Jersey businesses. Some great opportunities there.
So we have some folks that are interested in learning more about government procurement.
Yep.
For established New Jersey businesses to work with government agencies to provide services.
Sure, that's a big topic. So we want to take that a little bit offline, but I'm going to tell you this: njstart.gov is the state Division of Purchase and Properties procurement website. So it's njstart.gov. You should sign up there as a potential vendor, and bids will be listed on that site. Now that, unfortunately, only covers Division of Purchase and Property. They are not the only purchasing agency in the state. There are others, so you really need to learn about them. I would say pick a few and focus on them. Whether, if you're interested in, for example, selling to school districts, learn about the educational service commissions. Those are special cooperative purchasing groups that the schools have put together and actually run themselves. The largest, the Educational Service Commission in New Jersey, has 600 members. They actually have 700 members. They have more members than they have school districts because they've expanded to municipalities as well. If you get a contract with one of them and you can sell to every other member district without going through the procurement process all over again. Some great strategies for becoming a government and getting into government procurement. However, I will warn you that it's hard work. Those certifications I talked to you about, I refer to them as the key fob to the gym. You get in the door, but the hard work happens once you get in the gym. And they're the same way. They give you an entrance point because of those set asides. but you still have a lot of hard work to do to acquire those contracts. That's why the PTAC centers, the Small Business Development Center, which also has a procurement program, and guys like me can be helpful to you. So reach out to me. We can have a whole conversation. I've done presentations on government procurement that were 90 minutes. So there's a lot to learn about government procurement. So let's have a conversation offline, because I'm not going to take it all to try to do it here.
We do have, and Don would be an excellent resource for that. We also have SCORE mentors who can work with you on that. So you could ask for a SCORE mentor. I mentor people on federal government contracting. If you're interested in that, you can shoot me an email. I'm not so good at the state stuff. I'm not as familiar with the state as I am the federal.
Yeah,
But
and I have
other
to tell you, I'm the
mentors are-
reverse. I'm good with the state, not as familiar with the federal. Don't
Okay, so we're a team.
Yeah, that's right. I told you about NJ Start. I didn't mention Sam, but you would need to know about Sam if you're getting into federal contracting.
Right.
Okay.
People are saying that they appreciate the information, knowing about the resources, that you can do things online, which is great. I don't have a lot of questions here. I guess everybody, oh, here we go. School districts, my agency provides school consultation services. How does Njbac connect agencies with school districts?
Well, a good way is what I just mentioned, the purchasing power of the Educational Service Commission. So we have a little bit of time, so I'm going to give you a little bit of background. So what are the ESCs? They're called ESCs. ESCs were created in the 70s when the court said that every school district in the state of New Jersey had to provide their students with transportation. And some of those smaller school districts, and no matter where they want, whether they wanted to go to private school or parochial school, the district had to provide them with transportation. So there were a lot of school districts that did not have bus contracts and did not own their own buses. So they created these cooperative purchasing units that would hire bus services, and then the different school districts that needed those services could just go to that one contract and buy it. But that idea from the 70s has expanded to everything. So school districts that have child study teams, and they don't need to hire the licensed professionals that would be part of that child study team. They can go to the ESC and use their services for that and just pay on a per student basis, as opposed to having to have all those people under contract. So those, I spoke to someone several years ago that repaired band equipment, musical instruments, and he started losing contracts because the ESCs put out a contract for that kind of service, and the school districts were buying from there. So for you, talking about services to schools, that's what I would recommend, is start looking at the ESCs and trying to encourage them to, if they don't already do it, issue those kinds of contracts. And then that's one contract you have to be awarded to service potentially hundreds of school districts that participate in that cooperative purchasing. But again, big topic. We can talk about it offline.
And I have another one, that Roseanne, she's an established business and she needs to ask questions from the DOL regarding employee contributions for UIDI, et cetera. Would I be able to ask these questions and get transferred to someone in the DOL to get some guidance?
Yes, that's an easy one. Go to the live chat, put in your question, mention me in the live chat just so you don't get misdirected. Just say, is Donald, can I speak to Donald? And then ask your question in the live chat. Make sure you give us a phone number and an email address when you're asked for it. They're optional, but these agencies prefer to have that because sometimes they have to talk about confidential information and they don't want to do that on the live chat. So they'll reach out to you. But yes, you can do that, and we'll help you. And by the way, if your question was not about contributions, but about finding employees or workforce development grants or some other issue, we maintain relationships with your local business reps at your one-stop career centers, and we can make a referral for you to them. So, and not through the live chat, I would do that personally, but, and we can make a referral to them so that they can work with you on satisfying all of those kinds of needs. So we have great relationships with the Department of Labor. If you want to get into, again, I'm going to circle back to government procurement. If you're a public works contractor, now you have to be certified by the Department of Labor. Well, not now, it's always been this way, but you have to be certified by the Department of Labor for public works contracts. But now, to get that certification, you need to have an apprenticeship program or pay into one. So we maintain a relationship with the Office of Apprenticeship at the Department of Labor to help you navigate that system to get into an apprenticeship program or set one up for yourself that will allow you to get into public works contracting. There's a lot of different questions for the Department of Labor that we're able to assist you in getting an answer for.
That's great. And I've got Janice is wanting to know, does she need to register to export her artwork?
Great question. Very, very timely. And I'll tell you why in a second. So you have to be registered in the state of New Jersey, yes, because you're a business. And you have to be registered in the state to apply for the STEP grant. But I just had this conversation with someone about art and art as a business. And I mentioned exporting. And one of my colleagues from the export promotion team came running over very excited when he overheard me talking about it and handed me a stat, which I was not aware of. Last year, drawings and paintings from New Jersey, $6.4 billion in drawings and paintings were exported from the state of New Jersey in 2021. So yes, artwork as an export is a big business. And by the way, that's just drawings and paintings. That's not other, it's not 3D art or other artworks. So the answer to your question is, yes, you should be registered because you're a business. Every business is supposed to be registered. We can talk about whether you need to be a sole proprietorship or an LLC or whatever. And once you're registered, you could also apply for STEP. And we would be happy to help you with that. And it is not only an exportable product, but one that is a big part of our exports coming from New Jersey. $6.4 billion. I was amazed by that number.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
This probably has to be answered offline, but someone has a sole proprietorship with a DBA, doing business as, that he wants to make it an LLC with the same DBA.
Okay. First of all, let's go off. I'm a real stickler for terminology. None of these are DBAs. All right. Sole proprietorship, that would be a trade name. All right. DBA has a very, very narrow legal definition in New Jersey, and that's not it. So a sole proprietorship is not a legal entity. What I mean by that, it doesn't have legal standing. A sole proprietorship can't own a piece of property. You own that piece of property. A sole proprietorship can't own the inventory. You own the inventory. You are acting as yourself. That's what a sole proprietorship is. An LLC is a legal entity. It has standing. The LLC can own property, can own things. So when you say you want to make your sole proprietorship into an LLC, there's a logical break there, because your sole proprietorship is you, and you can't become an LLC, but you can form an LLC. And because one's a legal entity and one is not, there's no name conflict. You can set up an LLC. You might have to get a new EIN number from the IRS, but you can set up an LLC under the same name, not a problem. If you wanted to set up the LLC under a different name, but you still wanted to use the inappropriately phrased DBA, and the example I always say is, I create Ocean Food and Beverage Inc., or LLC in this case, Ocean Food and Beverage LLC. I then registered not a DBA, but what we call an alternate name. I register that alternate name and I can do business under that alternate name, which might be Don's Pizza. So the LLC is Ocean Food and Beverage LLC, and I'm authorized to conduct business as Don's Pizza. That is not a DBA, although everybody uses that term incorrectly. That is an alternate name. And yes, you can do that. And so however you want to work that out, you want to create the LLC under your name, the name that you're using now as a trade name, or whether you want to create an LLC under a new name, but register the alternate name that was a trade name under your sole proprietorship. It's possible to do. That sounds all very complicated, but I can walk you through it. So just either reach out to me, talk to your SCORE mentor, and I'll be happy to work you through that.
We have time for probably a couple of more. Bridget makes handmade small batches of cement planters and other home and garden products, and they test new techniques. So she needs supplies and materials on an ongoing basis. Can I apply for a grant or a loan to help with those supplies and materials?
Loan, yes. Grants are a little different. People, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but grants are very, very targeted. So we have right now an ongoing program, which is very close to being out of money. So, but a small business improvement grant. So if you made improvements on your physical location or bought some new equipment, we might be able to give you some money towards paying for that equipment. We have a grant program for lease expansion. So after the pandemic, if you expanded your business, where most businesses were shrinking, we can help you cover some of those additional lease costs. Those are very targeted grant programs that are designed for a specific purpose. That's the way grants work. So is there a general grant for you to buy new products for your business? Probably not. But there are some lending opportunities that we can talk about. Sure.
Okay. So go to the website and someone there can help you, or Don, I'm sure would be happy to help you.
I certainly would.
This is Ed. They have an LLC that helps firms optimize process efficiency through data automation. Basically, they streamline manual spreadsheet processes. He thinks there's probably an opportunity or a need at the state or federal level. Do you agree, or do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I certainly agree, because I'm working with the innovation team on resolving some of those issues right now. But those kinds of services are tough for the state to hire. We have a big IT department, Office of Information Technology. We have the innovation team. So to bring in a consultant specifically for that, you might be better off trying to get a subcontracting opportunity with an IT organization that already has a broader contract with the state. That's a pure knee-jerk reaction. It's nothing I've investigated. So there may be some opportunities there, but it would be you would have to be you have to have a very good plan on how to address that and how to go after that. Part of the issue is government procurement is very regulated. So for me to say to you, call OIT and present them what you do, could very well disbar you from applying for a contract. Because if you got too much information that gave you a special advantage over your competitors, it could end up barring you from actually bidding on the contract. So although I've done that before for people, I've gotten them appointments. It's a little tougher now because of COVID, but appointments with the OIT to make a presentation on their product and services. It's a one-way conversation. They're not going to give you any information about what they're interested in, what they like, what they're looking for, because any of that information could influence a later bid, which would then, like I say, legally disbar you from being permitted to bid. I do want to mention one thing here. Someone asked about the New Jersey Division of Travel and Tourism. They sit about, thank God, about 10 feet away from me, because 6 feet it would be too close for COVID. So we can help you with that. Yes, they do provide grants to DMOs. They also provide grants, cooperative marketing grants. Colleen in that office handles that. The Division of Travel and Tourism is not part of the Business Action Center, but they are part of the Secretary of State, and that's why they share a floor with us. And I'm happy to make an introduction to Colleen, who can go over all those grant programs with you. So send me an email and I'll pass it along. Like I say, she sits, I'm not in my office, but she sits right back there.
So these are all great questions. And I think through the conversation, you can see the depth of knowledge that Dawn has and that would be available through their website. So it's very exciting that there's a place where we can go, and very exciting that that website is so robust and so user-friendly that it really is a pleasure to use. So thank you for making that so user-friendly. We love it at SCORE. We love it because our client, it makes it easy for our clients to use.
Mhm.
I think we're coming to a hard stop here, but Don, thank you so much for all the information. It was great. Everybody go to business.nj.gov and explore and learn all kinds of new things. Go to centraljersey.score.org and look for a SCORE mentor, and you will be in business.
That's right. And thank you very much. And again, reach out directly to me if you have any questions. Donald.newman@sos.nj.gov. I'd be glad to answer them for you.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for attending. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.